Oh, good evening, everybody, and happy Memorial Day. First, we're going to start on in this video thanking all our brave men and women that have served in the war and fought in like World War I, World War II, Vietnam, current wars that are going on. It takes a very courageous person to step up and sign up for the Army or sign up for the Navy or the Air Force. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of courage, a lot of effort to be in the armed forces, and I just want to thank everybody for protecting the United States of America and keeping our freedoms in the. I was gonna put some Memorial Day stuff up here at the office, but unfortunately, a lot of the stores did not have any out on display. Not in the area I'm currently in at the moment, but so be it. So basically, in today's Memorial Day special, we are going to do a Lenovo Thinkcenter small form factor PC from 2010. So just to give you a quick disclaimer, I'm not running a scripted video here. There's not going to be any goofy effects. There's not going to be any shenanigans or anything. It's just going to be a very basic overview of this computer, because I have a customer that was using a 2008 Dell Inspiron 530. I think that's a 530. Maybe it's a 531. I'll take a quick look. That is a 530. That's a mini tower. So we're setting them up with a very basic, no thrills Lenovo Thinkcenter. I had a Dell Inspiron, I think it was a 545 or something, Windows 7 era that I was going to put 10 on. But that one, I went to fire it up and I had a bad power supply on it from sitting for a few weeks. So I guess I'll just put it this way. Your Lenovo small form factors and laptops just seem to be quite reliable. But then again, the Lenovo, actually I haven't ran that one since January. But it's kind of a cool computer, even though it's a bare bones, no thrills PC. So what we're going to do in a minute is we're just going to talk about some of the interesting features of. So since this is an unscripted, no falsified video, I did not have any documentation on it prepared beforehand. So we'll kind of open up a web browser here and I will pull up information on this PC, and we will talk about some of the interesting features of. These are the kind of computers that you would see like in schools, offices, factories. It's not the kind of PC where you would game on it or do video editing. It was more of a basic office task, going on the internet and doing very basic minimal tasks, or having office programs under like Microsoft 365 or Open Office or Apache Office, depending on what your preference. Or if you want to use Word Corral or WordPerfect or something, you could do that. So basically, the computer only supports up to 4 gigs of RAM max. The maximum amount of RAM is 4 gigs. Because I was going to buy a set or more memory to upgrade this thing, but then when I went online, on Lenovo's website, it showed it only supported that particular model only supported 4 gigs. So this computer, the retail value of it here was $55. For 55, this is a bug in the light fixture. So for $55, you're pretty much getting yourself a 4 gigs of memory, 500 gig hard drive, a Core 2 Dual clocked at, well, let's see what, I can't remember exactly. You would think I remember everything about every computer, but it's hard to keep track of every single machine that you have or once had. So go to about, it is clocked at 2.93 gigahertz. Oh, 2.94 gigahertz rather. So it's a Core TM2 Dual CPU E7500. So as far as, so this is Windows 10 Pro. Install date was 7/2/19. So this was originally a Windows 7 professional computer, and there is a tag, a refurbished tag on this machine that basically states, I just want to verify real quick what kind of tag is on. Okay, that was not a refurbished tag. That is just a Windows 7 COA. And they basically, what they did was they just used that COA to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro using the Windows to Go kit, using a USB flash drive. To be completely honest, I did run into a few PCs where you manually actually had to install Windows. You couldn't do the upgrade. So usually most of the time it works, but there's a good 10 to 15% chance that it's going to hiccup on you and mess up somewhere in between. Usually around, I've noticed where it's had problems was around 46%. That's not on the finalizing part. It's in the beginning part of the installation. So I don't know if there's a batch file or something that's hanging up, or if there's just something inside Windows 7 that's preventing it from operating correctly. It is something I'm going to look into. I'm kind of buying for time at the moment. But first, we will go ahead and we'll Google real quick information on this PC. And no, I don't have any of the original OEM peripherals like a Lenovo monitor or mouse or keyboard that came with it. It came from a yard sale, and they didn't know what happened to them. It was actually a moving sale. So they probably didn't know what they did with it, and they probably found it after they sold it. But usually when I'm at yard sales and I tend to buy them. I don't care how old they are or what. I usually use them for a while. get to know stuff about them, and then when I sell computers, I can give the customer more honest review of. It's bad enough when you go to a store and you ask, like Best Buy, for instance, or so you remember Circuit City or Comp USA. I've never been to a Comp USA, but I was to a Circuit City once, about a decade ago, before they closed all their locations permanently. And a lot of the kids or the millennials they had on the floor didn't know diddly squat about each one. They're just kind of like, I think you can do that. I don't know, and stuff like that. And I wasn't really impressed, but it was just the only reason I went into a Circuit City was I knew they were closing, and I wanted to see what, just kind of the nostalgia feel of a place like that. It's like even back in the day, they had their Gateway brick and mortar store. I've never actually been to one of their showrooms, but I heard that was quite an interesting experience going to a Gateway brick and mortar store. I know when I was younger, I would go to the Milwaukee PC chain of computer stores, and I'd sit there and mess with all the demos and stuff like that. It was a custom computer shop establishment. It wasn't. Unfortunately, the one in my area went out of business, or they closed that location. Well, actually, they closed quite a few of them in the area. They had one in Two Rivers, one in Manitowoc. That one they closed. Two Rivers is closed as well. And then I think there's one in Appleton and one in Sheboygan. But I don't get down to Sheboygan very much, not unless I have a job lined up for the day, or if I get service calls. Then I tend to make a day trip out of. If I got certain jobs in certain cities, sometimes I'll make a day of, if I don't have anything else lined up, I'll check out some of the local stuff, and that doesn't happen very often. And because of COVID-19, a lot of that all came to an abrupt halt. So that's kind of been a factor in why I haven't had a lot of work here. Okay. And I just want to make sure I got the right computer here. No, I don't have the right one. One I pulled up by accident was one for good for 8 gigs of RAM maximum. Mine is only good for 4 gigs. So mine is only clocked at 2.9 gigahertz. And this one that they're showing here is clocked at 3 gigahertz. All right. I got a better idea. Cool. We'll go to the support site. I don't need support. I just want to verify which model of computer I'm currently using. So we'll go PC. Now, of course, since it's Windows 10, it's not gonna find the appropriate drivers, but I'm not looking for the appropriate drivers for this machine because I already did all the drivers and stuff last year. Actually, I did that. Yeah, that was last year. So now we're just gonna wait for Lenovo to get its. There we go. So since it doesn't show Windows 10 on here, we'll put 8.1 64-bit. That's close enough to. So obviously warranty is out of date. So according to so this product is no longer being supported. So basically, it's serial number SSAHEME. The machine model is 784. Why don't I just take these numbers and then I'll just paste them into a new browser? I think I would have a little more. Yeah, this is more like it. So this is the Lenovo Thinkcenter A70 7844 Core 2 Dual E7500 clocked at 2.93 gigahertz series specs. So it's a budget desktop system, which it was a very low cost. So built-in device, keyboard, LED panel, Lenovo is obviously the manufacturer. We stated it was a dual core, 64-bit computing, yes. Clocked at the data bus speeds is 1066 megahertz. Chipset is a Intel G41 Express. Processor main features enhanced Intel SpeedStep technology with Intel execute disable bit Intel extended memory 64 technology. And the processor socket number is LGA775 socket. Installed cache memory is L2 3 megabytes, and per processor 3 megabytes. So originally this computer came with 2 gigs of RAM, and the previous owner was kind enough to put 2 more gigs in, so 4 gigs maximum. Like I said, this would not make a good gaming computer or even a video editing. It's strictly for very basic remedial tasks. So the data integrity check is non-ECC. Rated memory speed is 1066. So we got a serial ATA. That's pretty much typical. Maximum support memory is 4 gigs. And it's a 240 pin DIMM. So you got 2 slots. So the original hard drive that was in there was a SATA 3 gig, 72,000 RPM, vibration dampening hard drive SATA. Oh, that had a 320 gig originally. This one had a 500, so the original drive must have died at some point in time. So somebody put a 500 in. That was done before I got the computer. So it comes with dynamic memory technology 5.0. And allocated RAM size is 765 megabytes. That's kind of interesting that it comes with that technology, but in today's computer lineup, it's not really suitable for that kind of application anymore. What I mean by that is if you're going to do video editing or anything like that. The only thing that you can do close to editing is you'd probably be able to watch a DVD on there without it lagging too much. It might lag a little bit. I don't think this computer would handle major graphics cards. Maybe something in the like 768 megabytes. That'd be about it. Or below that, or 512. And they do make video cards that are small profile or low profile, but they're not as common as like the ones for the mini towers and full blown towers. So if you're buying peripheral cards, make sure it's compatible with the computer, and make sure that your power supply can handle the voltage required to. Because a lot of these small form factors, they got a really rinky-dink power supply, and a lot of these computers were never meant to do some of the things that they were put to the test. And in this video, we are not going to see how far it'll take to destroy the computer or wreck it in any way. Because at this point in time, it's still partially my property, but yet it's not. What I mean by that is, customer has had her eye on it. Basically, all she's going to be using it for is running software for signing children in and out of a daycare. So I got her old computer sitting here. I was going to run it over to the establishment because I got keys to the building. So the building is actually parish property, and that this facility is just being leased from the parish. So as buildings and grounds maintenance, I'm pretty much in and out of the buildings quite often. I'm not the head honcho there, but I got a lot of inspections I do and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that another time, another video. So typically, it came with your typical Lenovo keyboard and mouse. This one is missing this OEM set. So it does come with a standard DVD multi-rewritable disk drive. So that's a nice feature to have. That's ATA serial processor we talked about. Floppy disk, there's none that came with it. But by 2010, I think the days of floppy disks are pretty much all behind us completely. So the model is 7844. We stated that. So you have a few Ethernet, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet integrated connector. The model number for that is Realtek RT11811DL. Not bad. They're actually, for being integrated, it's got plenty of power for if you run like packet tracer or wire shark on this machine, the packets and stuff that go back and forth, it doesn't lag in that area. It works just fine. Even when you stream videos and stuff. What I discovered is the major bloatware that's on the computer when fresh installed 10 was all the Xbox crap that Microsoft pushes on there, the mixed reality portal, the mobile plan, some of the media players that Microsoft wants you to phase out, like Windows Media Player, and they use it in their modern picture viewer. I took all that off of there because 99% of the time when they use it, it's strictly going to be on the internet with a page for the people or the parents to sign in to pick their children up, and for fingerprint, it's not going to be. There's no games going to be played on there, no movies that are going to be watched on there. It doesn't even have. This model does not even feature an internal speaker. It's got a little got a beeper somewhere on the motherboard, but that's about it. But for the application that they're using it for, you don't need anything quite spectacular. In today's economy, $55 is pretty much going to buy you exactly what's sitting there. So some of you are thinking, gee, that's expensive, but you're in a business, you got to make money. You can't give everything away for free. Now, if you have a nonprofit organization like a church or something, yeah, it's kind of expected of you to give back to them. But for regular business, don't feel obligated to cut your prices for them. Well, then vice versa. I don't really deal with a lot of other contractors either, so I don't really have that. So the color theme here is business black. There's two USB ports in the front. Those are just typical 2.0. And we will do a close-up of the machine just to kind of give you an idea what it looks like. I'm sure most of you out there have seen Thinkcenters. But in all honest opinion, in all honest reality here, what really impressed me about this model was you'll put it on the shelf for a while and then you pull it out and you plug it in and it fires right up. That's impressive that it works. When you have a PC that sits for a week or two and then you turn it on and you got issues with it, sure, I could sit there and fix most of the issues on it, but you want something that just works. You don't want something that's going to cause trouble down the road. And this thing is a decade old, and it's still, or it's close to a decade. But you turn it on and it comes to life and it works. So I can't really complain. I would definitely buy. I would look for, if I was going to get another one, I would definitely get one in an i7 model, preferably something newer than first gen i7. Minimum I would go at this point in time is a second gen, and the maximum I go is like a fourth or fifth gen processor. They're just, I can't really complain. They're good machines. They work. A lot of HPs I've had them where they've had a lot of problems. Dell, I've had a few issues with. These are antique of computers, or basically between the older Inspirons and the newer or the Dimensions. But things just aren't meant to last forever. So on the front, you also have microphone 3.5 inch millimeter, and then you have a headphone port. So if you didn't want to plug your speakers in through the front, or if you had headphones you wanted to use, you could plug in. You could either lay it vertical or horizontal, because you got feet on both sides of the case. So most likely in her case, she's gonna just have it standing up or staying up on its side. So that's how they want to handle it. So that's how I'm gonna set it up. So take a quick look at the back here. So what we have here is we have line in, line out, microphone. We get 4 to 2 USB 2.0. And then you have your typical VGA, Intel graphics, dedicated of course. And then you have a serial port. And actually the nice thing is the owner or the lady that bought this, she wanted because it has a serial port on there for the adapter that she uses for the software program. So that actually works out perfect in that case. So what I'll do is I'll open it up real quick here. Excuse the slight mess that we have. It's a very active office. So this is this Thinkcenter. So just to kind of give you an idea, I'll rotate. It's very minimum, nothing exciting or fancy. Power button here. DVD drive that works just perfect. So we'll flip it around to oh crap, that's not good. This is what the back of the machine looks like. Pretty bare bones. You got 4 expansion slots that you could possibly use. Yeah, so a lot of interesting collections from, and some of the wall decor I got from relatives, friends. So if I get donations from people, I always put it up. I don't like to hurt people's feelings, so I display everything proudly here. You know, some of the stuff I get, I'm not completely wild about, but I do like the religious icons I have on the wall and some of the other folk art craft and metal signs, and so I guess actually most of the stuff I have here is kind of a favorite. So I will get a screwdriver and let's see what looks good. Oh, we'll use this Craftsman or modern Craftsman style. To open, put the screw safely over here. I can tell I haven't cleaned this thing out in a while, but there's no date codes. This is what the cover looks like. A rather interesting bezel that they put around. So this is basically, so you got four different PCIe, PCIe-X. Oh, sorry about that. And then you have your CPU over here, and then you got 2 gigs of, or not 2 gigs, but you got two 4 gigger or two 2 gigger style. A late-on power supply, pretty typical. It's about 265 watt. And then you have, I'm not going to disassemble the whole bezel because according to the specs, there's a lot to it. And like I said, this is never meant to be a full-blown review or a scripted review or a falsified review of any kind. So you could add another hard drive to this machine if you wanted to, because you have another SATA port available. And in some cases, it'd be kind of nice to have that. So if you really wanted the whole gist of what you could do with this computer, it doesn't revolve around audio or visual type of applications. You could actually even use this as a file server if you wanted to, by using one of the expansion slots for network cards. And if you had 2 hard drives in the system, you could use it as a file drive, a server. And if you're feeling brave enough, you can try running it or get old copies of Novell. Novell is no longer Novell, it's called Microfocus. You could spend quite a bit of money on eBay for a set of software to run on this thing, and you can make yourself a file drive or media or music server or something. So there's different stuff that you can do with these systems. Or you could even run it as an HVAC computer, like if you have like a heat exchange, or you're running a I/O system where you have like a main or a card that gets attached to the computer that has a bunch of I/O or serial port functions on there where you can use thermal couplings, and like one I/O port could be for, like, you put it on the floor and it detect if you had water. One would be able to detect smoke. One would detect if you lost heat, or if you're using a specialized low pressure hot water system, you could also have pressure switches that are wired up as IOs, and it'll tell you if one of your pumps loses pressure. So there's a lot of stuff you can, or if you want to use a security camera system, you could do that. Or if you wanted to use it as even a phone server system, the potential is there. I don't know if this computer has hyper-threading capabilities. I would most likely think it does, but I'm not 100% sure. I would have to scroll down a little bit further. So if you bought this computer brand new back in the day, it would have included a preloaded select of Microsoft Office 2010 suite purchased, but you would have to pay for the actual OEM license. And last but, or almost last but not least, it is the Intel GMA X45 dynamic video memory technology. So that's the kind of graphic system that Lenovo designed the system with. So it's got, as far as audio, it's integrated stereo high definition. Pretty typical standard. So the mother chipset on the Intel motherboard is a G41 Express. And the keyboard name is Lenovo Slim Keyboard, USB, expansion connectivity. So there's, the mouse is an optical mouse, obviously. Power supply does give you a lot of information on. So typically the operating system was Windows 7 Pro, Adobe Flash Player, Adobe Reader, Corel Bird, now Lenovo Edition. Now Lenovo Edition, what that is like a maintenance program type software, because I got two Lenovo's I got three Lenovo laptops at home. One actually is not a Lenovo. One is a Windows 95 era, Windows NT era laptop that has the original copy of the Lenovo edition. And then I got a ThinkPad with a A4 AMD processor with 8 gigs of RAM. Maximum that would take is 16. And then I got a IdeaPad here at the office. It's my personal one that has an A12 AMD processor. That one's good. That's a DDR4 system that's good for 16 gigs of RAM. So eventually I might add more RAM to it. But so you also got Corel DVD Movie Factory, Lenovo Password Manager, Norton Security 2011, 30-day subscription, Skype, ThinkVantage Power Management, ThinkVantage Rescue and Recovery, ThinkVantage System Update, ThinkVantage Toolbox. Those programs actually work quite well for being Lenovo. It's similar to like HP's software, Dell's software, Acer, Asus. It's a lot of that stuff really, it's not all that drastically different. A lot of it's the same. So I had 1 year warranty on site. Response time was next business day. Parts and labor, phone consulting, limited warranty technical support. So as far as the information on it, it's pretty much very basic. So what we'll do is I'll put the cover. Oh, that's not good. Put the cover back on. And then we'll kind of do some remedial tasks. This is actually turning into a later night at the office than I expected. Well, I was going to get up here earlier today, but I had one of my favorite aunts from downtown Milwaukee stopped up at my house for a few hours. So we visited for a while, and then I went to my other job for a while, and we did work on deep cleaning some carpets. I guess I didn't really do anything that exciting today. I didn't really celebrate Memorial Day. So what we're going to do is we're just going to close this stuff out. So just to kind of, the response time isn't the worst. After you take all the bloatware off, that Windows 10 includes, computer response time is not bad. And yes, everything is going to look backwards on here, but that's just the way it goes. So, pretty typical. So we'll just so the response time is not bad. There's not going to be any audio. So we'll do a quick reboot here, and we'll show off the BIOS. Now you gotta remember, it's not going to boot in 20 or 30 seconds. It'll be a minute or two. Now, if you had if you slapped an SSD drive in here, it would be faster. Not by much, but it would bring the boot time down to like 50 or 60 seconds. But the only disclaimer is, if you're going to do that, find a hard drive caddy that'll actually fit. Think what? All right, we missed a sequence. Oh, I put the wrong screws on the back of the computer. So once I'm done here, I'll get the invoice written up for it, and then tomorrow I'll take it over there, and we'll let them. I'll get their software packages initiated on the system, and then I get paid, and it'll be a good day. Yeah, I kind of figured it'd be slow, but for what they're using it for, once it's up and running, that'll be it. And it does take time for the icons to load. But since I took all that bloatware off, it's still an improvement from what it was at. Before, with all that extra garbage on there, it took about 4 minutes to boot up. And it's roughly between a minute and 2 minutes. So response time isn't perfect, but it's enough to get by. So we'll set this down. I know this is getting kind of long here. A little longer than 33 seconds. Bear with me while we get the BIOS going here. I think I missed it. All right. I'll do it again. I don't usually do a lot of BIOS work on these kind of computers. Okay, let's get out of here. It's not going the way I intended. Intended this to work. But it is what it is. All right, so anybody out there that's got a Thinkcenter, you can try pressing F1 or Enter. Because once this computer's out the door, it's not coming back here. So we'll do this on the third try. Come on, any day now. So Come on, any day now. Good grief. Yeah, I can tell I'm starting to get kind of impatient. Come on, quit playing games here. If you start now, chances are you'll have a better chance of getting into either the start menu or the BIOS. I know I should have had a tripod set up for this. I think we got somewhere here. So you want to go to F1. So this is what your BIOS looks like for your Lenovo system. It's not much different looking than the Phoenix BIOS. I know it's all backwards and it's all gibberish and here, but we'll explain it very thoroughly here. System summary. It shows here you got your CPU type is an Intel R Core TM2 Dual A7500 2.9 3 gigahertz, 1060 6 megahertz, 2 cores, 4096 megabytes of RAM, which equals up to 4 gigs. And the rest of it is all typical standard information. So there's nothing missing, there's nothing. So back out here. System time and date is correct. It's 2300 hours, or 2307, which is correct. It's Monday, 5/25, Memorial Day. So go to devices. Serial port is enabled. So there's different settings and stuff you can set it at, but we're going to leave it at the highest. So this system, you can disable it or enable it, because the business machines, you can enable and disable ports. But we want to leave that enabled. The USB support, you want to leave support enabled. Legacy support, front USB ports, you want enabled in the rear. A lot of times in businesses or schools, you have a lot of problem with people stealing information using flash drives and stuff. And a lot of computer companies use options like that for locking down the USB ports so you can't steal sensitive information or confidential information. So we'll look at ATA. ATA controllers enabled. Video setup. Leave it on auto. So pre-allocated memory size 128. Total graphics memory is maximum. And PAV or PAVP is disabled. I'm not familiar with that protocol. So audio setup is onboard audio controller. Network setup is onboard Ethernet controller, Pixie boot agent. So let's say that you had like 30 of these in a computer lab. you could use the Pixie Boot option on this machine to image the machine. Now, there's no preloaded software for that on this machine. You have to use your own, like Altiris or Norton Ghost or Coronis Cast or something, or WinPE. It depends on what you're using. So that option is always available. Go to Advanced, Plug and Play OS. Actually, that is something you want. You want plug and play, so when you plug USB stuff or other peripherals in, that it recognizes that you don't have to reboot your computer every time you plug something in. CPU setup. Okay, so this does have Intel virtualization technology. So virtualization technology is a very simple layman's terms of explaining it is you can run virtual machines or guest operating systems within your main operating system. Now, to be exactly honest, I would not recommend doing it on this machine because you have a very limited amount of memory for allocating dedicated space for virtual machines. So one thing I don't recommend doing if you want to run virtual machines on here, I'm not going to stop you. But the thing you have to remember is that I wouldn't go any more than 2 gigs per virtual machine, because any more than that, and your computer will slow down to a screeching halt. So we will back out of here, go to power management. So basically, this machine was set up for power or after power loss last state. So when you get a power outage or something, the computer will start up and go back to where it was, or you can set it up to power on, which again, you kill the power to it or pull the plug to it, or you have a power outage, it'll come back on automatically. Or if you put the power off, you turn it off, or you have a power spike or your voltage drop or something, the computer is going to turn off and stay off. It will not come back on. So numlock is something that you want on. So you could actually set this computer to wake up from PCIe modem or PCI device, or wake up on a serial port ring, wake up on an alarm. So what you do with the serial port ring is you can disable or enable RI to generate a wake up event. Here you can use a device to accept PCI modem and PCI LAN. So security, you can set passwords on here, admin passwords when flash, or supervisor's password, or administrator's password. Now you don't want to do that unless you necessarily have to, but there's nothing that insignificant in this system that you can do that much damage to. So I do not advise putting any passwords on the BIOS of any kind, because chances are it's going to backfire and you're not going to remember what the password is, and then once you brick the computer with the password and you can't remember what it is, you might as well just kiss it goodbye, because there's no encryption out there that can undo what you put on there for a password. So don't mess around with that. So startup, you can your primary boot sequence, you can set whatever you want first priority. So automatic boot sequence, network is the first one, hard drive, and then there's 2 other boot devices. Boot error sequence, I'm not going to look at that. QuickTime boot enabled, numlock on, keyboardless operation disabled, option keyboard displayed, startup device menu. So we're going to save and exit. So I hope everybody had a safe Memorial Day weekend. I'm sorry that we didn't show more about what the computer is capable of doing, well, due to YouTube's copyright policies. If you don't behave by YouTube's rules and play by their rules, they will basically wipe you off the face of YouTube. So we don't want to provoke them in any way, because it's, I'm not getting into the politics of it. Most of you out there already know what's going on with it. So the other thing I'll do off live stream is change the username of it and the background images and file share, or put the correct file shares for the data. But that's all confidential, what's going to be shown and what's on there, so I will not be showing that portion of it. But thank you as always for watching. God bless everybody. Stay safe. Take it easy. Even though the day is pretty much over with for relaxation. And just remember, today is not about, or was not about, getting drunk and partying and loud music. And it was in honor and remembrance of your veterans and people in the military, and like your Navy men and your Air Force and your Navy SEALs. And so I know it's too late now, but it's never too late to thank a veteran for their services. Honor them with a breakfast or something. Just thank them for thank them for their services and stuff like that. So I've actually had a couple of relatives in my family that were in the service. My uncle was in the Air Force. One of them was. And he basically worked on nuclear missiles and stuff like that. And my grandfather, he was in the Navy. It was actually an interesting story. Even though that he never went over he didn't have to go to Vietnam or anything like that. Thank God for that. But he had worked. He was stationed up like in Kodiak, Alaska, for 2 months, and then he was stationed in Vallejo, California, decommissioning a ship, the U.S. Pickett. What in the heck is? Oh God! I hope I don't have any more bats flying around or trying to make their way up in the basement. So let's. Okay. So I hope Hope everybody has a safe day. I think I'm going to end the stream right now because I got something in here with me. I have no clue what it is. So we'll find out. So I hope everybody enjoyed this unscripted review of the Lenovo, and we will be back in a later time. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.